Yes, sir. Welcome to the OBR streaming network. This is All Eyes on Cleveland. Welcome to a brand new edition. Browns training camp is underway. We've got a jam-packed show. We've got tons of news, tons to discuss. I see you guys filing into the yeah, saw that too, Charlie. Filing into the chat. Unfortunate viewage of more on an end around today. Get that out of here. What are we doing? No, just kidding. It's too early to do that. But yes, I did see that too, Charlie. Uh, yes, Red Leader, your favorite show is on. Yes, sir. And we've got Training Camp Case next to me. My name is Brad Ward. Casey Kinnamon. Follow him on Twitter at Casey_Kinnamon. What is happening, Big Case Dog? Lots of news to discuss tonight. I didn't think we would have this much news, but we do. So what do you think?
Dude, I'm ecstatic, dude. I don't know. It really hit different today. They reported on Monday, the rookies did, and then you have people trickling in. So you see videos of guys arriving to camp, but it was different seeing them on the field today. Seeing Vrabel race Jameis, dude, we're all the way back, baby. It's football season.
Yeah, Vrabel. Vrabel racing Jameis. That's terrific. It doesn't get any better than that.
No.
So some interesting news we got to discuss. I mean, the injury front is a wild frontier. We'll probably start there.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Yeah. So, but before we do that, okay, let's just hit it. Well, actually, we'll wait. We'll wait on that. We'll tease it later. Somebody won a bet over the weekend. The first bet, it came to a conclusion. We'll discuss it later. All right. Just wanted to throw that out there. If you're watching over on X, hop on over to youtube.com/Orange and Brown Report. If you're here watching in Twitch or YouTube, take a second, give us a like, give us a subscribe. It helps us out. We spend a lot of time preparing these shows, putting these out every night for you guys. Just takes a second, totally free, helps us out a ton. Greatly appreciated.
I think we should point out I'm going to pick someone out of the YouTube chat tonight as a winner of for me to pay off my bet. So if you want one in on this, if you want a T-shirt, you got to hop on YouTube. You got to get in the chat.
Better get in there. Better get in the YouTube chat if you want a chance at a free T-shirt, because Casey lost the bet on Amari Cooper, which we will hash out later, and I'll do my victory lap later. So we've got a lot to discuss. All right, let's start. Okay, let's start with the injury news. Right. Okay, so we knew that. Sorry, Paul. You know what I mean, brother. If you're on Twitch and you're already subscribed, you're doing your job. I feel you. Thank you. But yeah, so but the PUP list and the non-football injury list. So let's start there. So and then we'll kind of break down what is what here. The non-football injury list is Naheem Hines with a knee. I'm assuming that's last year's knee, right?
God, I'm hoping it's not a new knee injury.
It's got to be. I mean, it's got to be. I think, even when you read, and I'm going to kind of go through the classifications in a second here, because just to kind of, it gets a little crazy when they start, categorizing these things. Yeah. Greg Newsome, hamstring on the non-football injury list. More on that in a second. Over on the active, this is the active physically unable to perform list, or the PUP list, right? And that's DeAnthony Bell, Nick Chubb, Jack Conklin, which, kudos to you. Hey, you know what? I thought he was going to be ready.
Should have placed a bet on that one.
Yeah, surely should have. Say that 5 times fast. Dalvin Tomlinson and Jedrick Wills, tackles. Yikes. So, anyways, the Heather, you are Fumble's wife. Interesting development in the chat. That's fantastic. It's a family affair. That's what we like here on All Eyes on Cleveland. Mr. Doug Pound says 5X. Okay, they're already pandering. All right. Let's talk about this. All right, so this is how these break down. So I brought this up just for this, All right, physically unable to perform. There's two versions of this list. There's the active list and the reserve list, which is important not to get confused, right?
Mm-hmm.
All these guys are on the active list, which means, they can come back at any time, right?
Yeah.
In attend, they count against the roster. They can come back at any time. They can attend meetings. They can do all that stuff. They just can't practice. That's it, right? The only thing here is if you're placed on the reserve pup list, you have to miss the first 4 games.
Mm-hmm.
Correct?
Yes, sir.
Am I getting that right? If you're, and then there's another blurb down here. If a player is placed on the reserve pup list before final count, so you have to do it after cut downs.
You have to sneak them onto the roster and then put them on, and then
which is stupid, but if you're placed on the reserve pup list before final countdowns, you're out for the season.
You're done. Yeah, Dunzo.
Dundee. But we know that doesn't really matter. All right. So non-football injury list is for people that got hurt working out in the off season or doing a recreational activity. Greg Newsom. Or have a long-term illness not associated with playing. Rookies still recovering from injuries suffered in college are placed on this list. Any player remains on the NFI after final roster cutdowns, they can be placed on the reserve NFI list and will sit out 4 games. So very similar to the pup. They don't count against the 53-man roster. All right. So if you can get them on the NFI, you want to. Now, so Greg Newsom, let's address this first. We must admit we heard rumblings of this, right?
Yep.
So we heard what we heard was worse. I think what I heard initially was worse.
It sounded worse at the time. I'll say that.
Correct. Yeah. So we heard rumblings of this, but it couldn't be confirmed. We kind of hinted at, that we had heard something last week. But here it is. There is some truth to it. He hurt his hamstring working out on his own, which qualifies him for the NFI list.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he has already had surgery, and they expect him back week 1. How believable? Do you believe that?
I have never heard of someone having surgery on their hamstring if it wasn't torn off the bone. So it's hard for me to imagine if that's the case that he'd be back by week 1 and full strength and ready to, you know what I mean? Like sounds far-fetched to me, but I don't know the severity of it. But I don't know. I've never heard of a less severe injury being operated on in the hamstring area.
Yeah, I would be shocked if he was back for week 1.
Mm-hmm.
That just feels like a stretch, right? So unfortunate news there, but you do have, you've got Cam Mitchell, and it's not season ending, which is the most important thing there, right? So
yeah,
I think that, the surgery's done, let him rehab, let's get him back.
And you can't rush that because hamstrings are so easy to re-aggravate.
Important year for Greg too.
Yeah, huge year.
Yeah. So interesting there. The other one is Dalvin Tomlinson on the active pup list.
This was left field for me.
Way out of left field.
Yeah.
So I think maybe for the Browns too, because they showed up. Stefanski's Cody basically showed up and maybe had a complaint of some pain or swelling or whatever, and they just did an MRI to be cautious, and they were basically like, listen, this could be troublesome down the line. Let's nip it in the bud now, is what it sounds like, right?
Yeah, knee scopes are pretty non-invasive at this point. He's a bigger guy, so that's something to monitor. I've had a knee scope. It's few weeks, and you should be able to return to activities. Not, don't think too far back to Alex Wright having one, and then 3 weeks later he was back on the field.
Well, Bitonio had one last year, middle of the season.
And yep.
I don't think he missed any time.
Yeah, he timed it up for the bye week.
Yeah. But
So
so,
yeah,
I mean, he was able to have a
couple
knee
weeks.
scope and get back in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
I mean, them saying that he could be back for week 1 seems more feasible just because it's a knee
yeah.
scope, right?
Yeah, but
Now
if they're trying to implement a new alignment up front where you need this guy to be in the shade up front, that's
that's you
puts
read
you in a
my
rough
mind.
spot to make that transition.
Yeah, you read my mind. So, I mean, this whole, we're going to the shade nose and or the just a nose tackle, a one tack, three tack. I mean, does that just go out the window? Do you think, Case?
It did for me, but I don't. But when they were planning on making this move anyway, they had to have a plan B to Dalvin. I don't know what that plan B was going to be, but
And now they don't even have Dalvin there.
yeah, yeah. For me, he was at least 80% of that equation, at
I
least.
mean, yeah, I mean, you got to be able to practice it, right?
Yeah,
I don't know. So maybe that becomes something else, right? Like you've got Vrabel there. You should be able to get creative as far as I guess my concern coming away from this is my biggest concern is this. Like, okay, the Greg Newsome news is concerning, yes, but
mhm. You're
I
more
like
your depth. You feel better about your depth there, about your ability to even supplement with people like Grant Delpit coming down playing some nickel, and
yep,
you
yep.
can mitigate that more than you can mitigate losing Dalvin Tomlinson for the start of the year.
That's my thought is, and the more questioning part here is okay. Tomlinson is critical of this defense because he does something nobody else does, and that's really like stuff the run, right? And because a lot of these other guys are pass rush guys, like
One
that's
gap
their
guys,
skill.
they can't
Yeah.
man two gaps. They can't control space like that.
And so without Tomlinson, you worry about them stopping the run
Mhm.
effectively, I think. Because I don't think you can't count on Ika, and
Hall's probably a specialized player early in his career. He may get to a point where he's, sufficient in that role, but you really don't want that now. You want him just concentrating on getting after quarterbacks. So now Shelby's the run stuffer of the group as of right now. Who do you pair
not
him with to stop the run? That is troublesome.
yeah, it's not ideal. So you wonder, man, do they try to make a depth move here? I mean, I thought this room was as deep as it gets, but the
Yeah,
one guy you can't take out is
yeah,
Tomlinson,
yeah,
right?
yeah. He was the
Uh,
centerpiece of what allowed you to do the other things was
yeah.
Tomlinson's ability to occupy space.
If Tomlinson's healthy, it looks super deep. You got plenty of guys, right?
Mhm.
But if he's gone, then it kind of changes the dynamic there. You want to now. I'm sure they can figure this out. The concern is stopping the run, though, and so if he's back, it's fine. But it's not like I would find it hard to believe that he's going to be back and be able to play the number of snaps they initially wanted him to play. On first and second down.
Yeah, even the number of snaps he played last year,
Yeah.
just to step right back into that role, and that's when he was playing more of the 3, so it's more physically demanding when you're occupying 2 people for the majority of the time, so it's, yeah, and in my mind, I would throw that plan out the window, but who knows how deep they went into that already as far as, planning their defense around it, especially early downs.
Yeah. Mr. Doug Pound saying Dalvin was hurt in minicamp and Newsome was hurt on a treadmill. Um, MC saying would think some of these young guys will make a nice jump this year. Yeah, but I mean, the guys that I'm thinking of are already accounted for in that room.
Yeah, the jump that Ika would have to make to
Is
be
he
that dude,
pretty
I
large?
yeah, I can't it's unfathomable for me right now.
Yeah, yeah,
Right as we stand today. Now he could prove me wrong, but to make that kind of a jump to be a first, second down run stuffer after I don't know. I don't know. He transformed his body, lost a little bit of weight, hopefully put some muscle on. Because what I saw when he did get on the field is I watched him get pushed back pretty easily for someone that large. So they
yeah.
need him to be much more stout against the run.
All right. Now, the other aspect of this, and we kind of talked about the defensive part of this, but the other aspect of this is once again, offensive tackle. Because you go to camp now and you've got Conklin, despite proclaiming his own health, is on the pup list,
Yeah.
right? You've got Wills on the pup list, so you're out of your 3 starting tackles, you've got DeWand.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
I think this probably bodes well for him starting the season. You know, the first preseason game is just over 2 weeks away,
Yep.
right? So
Yeah.
it's not like this. It's going to go by like this, So I don't know where you at with this. Did you hear Stefanski's quote on this?
I listened to Stefanski's presser twice. I don't know
Okay,
the exact quote you're referencing, but
the
well,
quote.
he's
All
not going
right.
to panic.
Well, right. You've been kind of pushing back on the idea of DeWan playing on that side, a little bit, right? And
Yeah.
on the left side, and I don't know who asked this, but it was with Kevin, with Jedrick Wills out, Jack Conklin out. You have James Hudson with the first team out at left tackle. Does that rule out DeWan Jones moving this year? His reply was, "Yeah, I wouldn't rule anything out at this point. It's camp, so you can't look too far into day one. We'll move guys around. So in football, as you know, you have to be ready to adjust,
Mhm.
especially at that position, and guys have to be able to play both sides. So we'll see how it goes." Um, Thoughts?
I mean, the plane hasn't hit the mountain yet, but uh, you can't put Hudson out there. That's what I'll say. It's going to be Wills or Jones. So it
Yeah,
just depends on Wills' health. If Wills is healthy enough, the Dewan roll right, depends on how fast Conklin gets back. A lot of moving pieces here. But I think it's something pertinent to remember going forward is just because a player is been released by their doctor doesn't mean it's the team doctor. Like Aaron Rodgers was cleared last year to play by his doctor. Just not, you know what I mean? So
not the team doctor.
yeah, yeah, and they're going to slow roll. They're in no hurry as far as they. I think they understand they have to manage these offensive tackles. When they finished last year with all 3 on the IR, I don't think that they're not worried about them being full go in August. I'm
Sure.
sure they're targeting hopefully a week before the regular season for all 3 of them to be back. But it's yeah, man, it can't be Hudson. That'd be my final answer.
Right. Yeah. No, that's not an option. It's just not an option. He can't do it. He can
Yeah.
run block. He can't pass protect worth anything.
Yeah, I
So
don't want
uh,
Micah Parsons ruining a game.
no. And it can't be him. So uh, I would imagine that Conklin at least would be available. Week one. What version of that we don't know. Jed Wills, we haven't really got a report earlier in the offseason. It made it
Sound like
DeWan had
he
made
was.
it sound like he was
Yeah.
right on his heels at
Mm.
the very least, but we haven't heard an update on that or anything. So, um, I mean, I just wish they would give him some reps over there.
He'll see reps. We saw
I
reps over
think,
there last year.
yeah.
Yeah, he'll see reps.
So give him a shot. Is where I'm at. Give him a
Yeah,
shot over
I
there.
saw a cool video of him dancing in the rain. Uh,
I saw
showing,
that as well.
showing some nice footwork. Looked like he.
Quite a video. Very impressive from DeWan, dancing in the rain. Yeah, that. Where was that? Was it YouTube short or something?
I
Where
saw
did
it on Twitter, and I believe it was the team that posted it. Some pretty
really
provocative moves there by the big guy.
provocative?
He was getting down. It looked like a late '90s R&B video though for a second. You know what I mean?
Dude, it was wild, dude. I was like, is
Yeah,
that really DeWan, man? He looks in shape.
he does. He does, man. He's still
He
a little
looks in
top
shape.
heavy, but I mean, he
Oh,
looks. I think he's in the 330s, which is like way better than what he was when he showed up last year.
mhm.
Which I'm sure had to be a point of emphasis for the coaching staff. Imparting on him, they need him to keep the weight manageable.
A lot of people talking about Vrabel in the
They
chat.
should be, dude. They should be.
Yeah. Exciting stuff. He's
Yeah.
out there. He was a big part of practice today. Practice, it wasn't much of anything today, was it?
No, but if you think back to what they did the first day last year, it was just some jogs. They really, you know what I mean? They did a little more than they did this time last year.
Yeah, Yeah, we saw the Jameis Vrabel race multiple times. Good stuff. Vrabel bringing just a different energy
Mhm.
to things. Um, but my big thing there is, you know, get him in there working. You got to work this out somehow. Um, your change ups may be different now, right? So, you may have to throw a splitter instead of a curve here with the up front to stop the run or whatever, if we're using baseball analogies, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So,
and you got to think about what they did at the second level. I mean, Hicks is a major improvement in run defense from what Walker could do as far
yeah,
as being a cleanup tackler. So, like I said, it's Dalvin was the centerpiece in my mind if they were looking to make that switch, making it more of a full time operation, which is what it sounded like. But that could just be talk,
yeah,
like who knows what the real split's going to end up looking like.
for real. Definitely. Okay, so that's the injury breakdown there. Any other takeaways from the injury stuff?
Uh, no, no. I mean, the Hines thing's concerning to me. It's like you're not. That was way over a year ago now, and
Yeah,
it sounded like that when they signed him, he was good to go in my mind. At least that's the way I took it. When they signed him, it was like he'd spent a year away. He sounded like he was good to go for him not to, because like to the point of the first comment, seeing Elijah Moore taken into round, that should be Hines. Like that's the guy I want doing those kind of things. So it's and
yeah,
a lot of dominoes kind of get pushed over if he can't go. It
yep,
changes the depth perception of that room.
yeah, for sure. All right, so the next thing, next probably biggest news of the day, and if you're just joining us, this is All Eyes on Cleveland. I'm Brad Ware. That's Casey Kinnamon. Every Thursday night here on All Eyes on Cleveland, you can catch up with all of the Browns news and goings on. So Stefanski done playing around. We called it. We've
Yeah.
been saying it. Sorry, I'm not. I'm gonna do a little bit of a tout here. I'm gonna tout a little bit because we've been saying the whole time it's gonna be Stefanski. I don't know why all these people are saying that it's gonna be Dorsey calling plays. I still feel like it's gonna be Stefanski. I wrote it about 10 times. It's Stefanski.
Yeah.
He's still calling plays. So, ding, ding, ding.
Well,
You were all wrong. We were right. So,
the boring answer is the reality of the situation is this is because it's always been a collaborative effort. People don't want to hear that. They want to place all the blame or all the credit to one person, but it's the reason he had to get rid of everybody around him. It's because he needed
yeah,
new collaborators. Now, at the end of the day, the play's leaving his lips going into the quarterback's helmet, so
yeah,
he can because he falls on the sword every time. He'll be like, "That was a bad play call by me." He never blames the coach that gave it to him in his ear or talked him into it, and it shields those guys from the criticism. But that this is a collaborative effort. At the end of the day, Stefanski's the lead man. He's going to decide what's
yeah.
going on, and with that comes the blame. And I think he would rather take that on himself than place that on Ken Dorsey.
Listen, he's a good play caller.
Damn straight he is.
He has a good feel for the game.
Mhm.
He is very good at sequencing plays. He knows how to set stuff up. He's a good play caller, and um, I like that he is doing that. And there's already a shorthand there with Deshaun. So like a couple of moments from the podcast that Pete really highlighted, and I thought it's very interesting when Deshaun would talk about Stefanski in his ear on his podcast this summer. Um, he would talk about, hey, he would get in his ear and say, hey, this is what we're looking for here. Don't need to go for the big one here. Take what you get,
Mhm.
and that just that aspect of not only running the play in, but until they cut you off, he's going to use every second of that communication to get the quarterback's mind right. They're used to that. They obviously have, and there's a lot today about how much Deshaun and Dorsey seem to be getting along and like each other, which is very cool too. Awesome. I just trust Kevin with it more. He's a good play caller in my opinion. And I don't think he should be giving it away anytime soon. Personally, I mean, what do you need him to do more on the sideline than call plays? Call the
People
offense.
people get mad because he's not a fiery guy, because he's reserved, because he's business. And I don't know, man. I don't know if they just look over Detroit and see a raw guy, but like I would much rather have a CEO type of leader, the way Stefanski handles everything. He's even killed. And when what kind of voice do you want in your quarterback's ear? You want a guy who's level, man. He's
calm all the time.
And I think there's a short, like you talk about the shorthand, but there's a fine line between overloading your quarterback and zeroing him in, and you have to have that rapport with the guy to know how much you can give him before you overload him with information. But just trying to be your Sherpa, baby. We're getting to the top of this mountain together. And I'm with you. Like we talked about it. I don't know. It's maybe the grass is greener and they thought Dorsey was going to do something. I don't know. I don't know what
they saw Dorsey on the mic, or on the walkie-talkie, calling in plays, whatever it is, and they immediately thought that meant he was going to call plays. They saw him doing installs and stuff like that, and they were like, okay. There was that big thing, or another thing from Deshaun's podcast where he was like, you got to give credit to Kevin. He was like, he's really let Dorsey kind of just do his thing, which is all great. But once again, I really think when this thing breaks it, when it comes down to game day and throughout the season, it feels to me like Dorsey, this is not demeaning because I think he has a lot to do with the offense, but he is here for Deshaun.
Mm-hmm.
He is your glorified quarterbacks coach with an OC title, and you're going to take aspects and a lot of what he did, sure, because it matches and fits with Watson. But like, I feel like he's here to get the best out of Watson, no matter what that is. Like, that's what he did with Newton. That's what he did with Josh Allen, and that's what he's here to do with Watson. So,
yeah, he has a strong resume in that regard, and it's people need to get out of the dogmatic thinking of calling offensive coordinator has to call plays. That is, you've pointed out numerous times. If you look at the great offensive minds around the league that are head coaches, this is the system. This is what works. Like it is. That way you never lose that main voice. And because don't get me in, if Deshaun takes off and has a baller ass year or two, Dorsey will be gone. He'll get a head coaching job like that. You know what I mean? But you still, if you retain Kevin, you retain that offensive identity.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's so huge. I think is a big advantage towards finding offensive continuity for a long time, or for a period of years, is hiring a leader who is also your offensive guy.
Yeah. How many different head coaches have been plucked from McVay?
Yep, exactly.
You know what I mean? Or Shanahan.
It's a never-ending plucking. Yeah. So guys getting plucked from Cleveland now. So so absolutely. So glad to hear that. Dorsey will be in the booth, you assume?
Well, that's what he was in Buffalo.
Yeah.
Even when he was, the OC, he was doing it from up in the booth. And I think you need that perspective. You need someone, because you're on field level, and anyone who's been to a game knows you get different perspectives depending on where you sit. So for Kevin to be in the heat of it, to have a bird's eye of someone you trust, someone who helped the install all week, I think that's huge.
Yeah, I think that's a good resource for him. It's something that, I'm sure he's had somebody in the booth before, but more of a person. Like, we know Dorsey is going to have a say in what's going on offensively. And for him to be up there, I feel like that, like you said, a guy that did the installs and kind of directed all this, I think that's could be an additional tool that hasn't been there for Stefanski, or a tool that is being used in a different way.
I thought that's what Bill Musgrave was going to be when they first brought him in. I thought he was going to be kind of the eye in the sky guy, but it didn't appear that he's been that.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm thrilled. I'm glad that I think he was smart to do it now. Uh, he even kind of said at the end of the presser, they asked him
Yeah.
jokingly why he told them, and he said he was tired of answering the questions. I think it's absolutely valid, though. Put it to rest. There's no reason to hide it. There's no competitive advantage to be gained here. Just get it out there. So and I believe that he probably contemplated it up until a couple weeks ago. So do you believe that?
I don't know. I don't know about a couple weeks ago. I think when he first hired
You
Dorsey,
think he had it?
I don't think he was, right when he hired Dorsey, I don't think it was a done deal that this was going to be the dynamic. But I think as things evolved and they worked through the install, and I think, he also had to be comfortable with what you're installing, because if
Yeah.
you're at the end of the day, you're the one sequencing it, you have to have a comfortability with that. So I think after they did the installs, probably when it was like they figured out those dynamics.
Yeah, he's probably like, okay, I got this. You know what I mean? Like I got to feel with where we're going offensively here.
And he didn't
Um,
want to hamstring Dorsey. If you'd have said, "Yeah, he's the offensive coordinator, but I'm calling plays," the day you hire him, it kind of is like, "Well, this guy's just
Takes the
title."
shine off the hire, right?
Yeah, I feel like that was probably something to do with it.
Yeah, agreed. Okay. Next item of business is, well, we can get to it. Let's just get right to it here. Let's get down to the nitty gritty. Let's talk about Amari Cooper. Uh, this is an interesting one. So now this has been updated.
Yeah.
The details came out today. So it's not 10 million up front, it's 18.7
Hmm.
up front in a signing bonus. So they did what they normally do, and
You get a void
anytime.
year. You get a void year.
Yeah. Added 2 void years,
Yeah.
2025 and 2026. Uh and they pushed all the money into a sign. If you're gonna move around the money, if you're gonna restructure it to make him happy, you might as well do it, right?
Hmm.
You might as well create the extra cap. If you don't use it, it's rollover and it's worth more. So um, it makes sense to do it. So he goes from 20 million non-guaranteed to 20 million guaranteed plus 5 million in earnable incentives. Now, I think it's important I think that you have to classify incentives as earnable, right? Or not. Isn't that correct?
I don't know.
Uh,
I don't know the nuances
so
of the incentives, how they have to be classified.
I don't know the
I
exact,
would love
they
to
do
know
have
what
to
they
be,
are, though.
yeah, I would like to know what they are too, but they do have to be classified. And I don't know if it's earnable, but there's a word that they use that makes it sound like if they're achievable, right? Or if they fall within like what the player normally does,
If they're
they
tied to
count.
cap or tied to play time, you see it kind of go both ways with
Attainable,
offense.
yeah, it's one of those words, right? Search it is attainable. Either way, but if it is deemed that, it does count against the cap, even though it's an incentive from the front. Now, if it's an incentive like what you're giving Chubb, which is probably not deemed attainable, right? Or at least
Okay.
some of them aren't deemed attainable based on his injury. Maybe that's a bad example, but anyways, another player, if any player, take player, what's the guy's name from our Key and Peele?
Hingle McCringleberry.
Okay, Hingle McCringleberry signs a new deal, right?
Yeah,
And
Phoenix Flow.
McCringleberry gets 14 million, 10 million signing bonus, and 6 million in incentives. But he's been averaging between 8 and 1,000 and 4 touchdowns. But his incentives are for 1,200 yards and anything over 6 touchdowns, right?
Mhm.
Those are deemed, not, I don't think it's not attainable, but they don't go against the cap up front. Now, if he achieves them, they do go against the cap, but on the back end, I believe.
So does the
So
opposite happen? So because if you have to count it on the front end, if they're deemed attainable and he doesn't attain them, does that go over into rollover?
it may,
Or does it be Jack Duffin?
It may. I'm not sure. I just know that you do have to count it up front if
Mhm.
it falls within that attainable classification or earnable classification. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's all cap trickeration. But
But this is what
I
we were talking the whole time. You were comfortable at 25,
yeah, yeah.
right? So
I thought it
you
would
give it
be 2 for 50.
yeah, I think we all thought there was gonna be it wasn't just gonna be a restructure of the season, it was going to be an extension. I think we all felt that. Every person I talked to about the situation was it gonna be 1 year or 2 years, and they couldn't get a deal done, so they just wanted him on the field now. Like,
Yeah, that's what
let's worry about that.
feels like a temporary solution, right? A little bit.
Yeah, it does, but, it depends because the way they restructured it kinda gives me more of a feel that they're going to try to extend him at some point this season. If things are going well, obviously, But I talked about in the article I wrote, and I went back and listened to the React, and Pete had a lot of similar thoughts.
Yeah,
It leaves all the options open, man.
yeah,
Every option's open. You could pivot any way you need to, depending on how this thing plays out.
yeah. I agree. Uh, Charlie saying, love this deal. Gives the Browns options next year, including going after a big
Mhm.
free agent wide receiver. I think that's probably
That's the least likely scenario
the
because they
least
don't pay
likely,
top
but
market.
you're right though, Charlie. It does give them options.
Mhm.
AB likes to hold the cards and does a great job of
Yep.
putting himself on. Yeah, and you're
And
right
they got a
about
first
that.
round pick next year, so
First round pick, trade. All these
trade's the
guys,
most likely scenario just based on
CD,
their track record.
CD, Higgins, Ayuk, all these guys, with their futures unknown, nobody wanted to give them extensions.
Mhm.
Jamar Chase set up. Right, not that that would ever happen, but how about the Bengals, man? They got
You love to see it,
problems,
Brad.
bro.
You love to see it.
You love to see it, dude.
My God.
Freaking
Quarterbacks going through an identity crisis.
quarterbacks having a midlife crisis. Shows up looking like Slim Shady. Uh, and
Yeah,
then
they're leaning into it and calling him Slim Shiesty for the record.
yeah, and then freaking now you've got your other star wide receiver who should understand that you're already in a negotiation with player A,
Yeah. Yeah.
but he don't care.
No.
He wants
I'll
his
sit
money
back.
now.
Yep.
He's holding in, which is,
Mhm.
just bravo, Jamar Chase. I didn't see that coming, but bravo, brother.
Unfortunately, we don't play them early in the season.
I know, but it's just
I would
funny.
love
Just
to.
couldn't
Love to open
happen
with those guys again.
couldn't happen to a scummier franchise.
We were talking about it too, because like T's on the franchise tag, and they literally can't franchise him again because of the pay increase. And the fact that they have to pay Jamar Chase will just knock that salary up even further because it's based off the top 5 average at that position. So you love to see it, dude. It's a shit show from the get go down there.
Drew, he is not. So part of this restructure is that he's not under contract next year.
But they
So
did say that the post on Spotrac did say that. Say
well,
that
they're
yeah,
wrong.
if they cut him post June 1st, like you can't cut him because he's not under contract after the season ends. I don't get that. I didn't get
No,
that language.
he
That's the reason over the cap needed to respond to this.
Yeah, Mike Giannetti, who I actually like, and who runs Spot Track, he actually does a really good podcast on like the business of football, NBA.
Mhm.
He's very good, but he missed something there or got bad. You can't
Yeah,
cut. He's not.
happens.
He's not under contract. He's not under
Yeah, you
contract and
can't
going
cut
into
someone
next
who's
year.
technically, yeah.
So that
Yeah,
doesn't
it
make
was
any
it
sense.
was a lot of void years. It was all of a sudden it's like through 26,
Yeah.
but that's how they're rolling, man. This is just business as usual for them.
Yeah. Yeah, 2 void years, 25 and 26, right?
Mhm.
You spread out the 18.76 over that amount of time. He's already got void years on his deal from prior signing bonuses. The interesting thing about it is I saw Schefter, you might have seen this too, and I mentioned it on the React, but it ends up that the $100 million deal that he signed with the Cowboys, 80 of it came in guaranteed money in the end,
Yeah.
which
Yep.
is pretty wild. So good business. Now his presser today, great, perfect. You couldn't be
Mhm.
better. He wants to end his career in Cleveland. He wants to. He seemed in good spirits. He just wants to play ball. You
He's
love to
such a
hear all that.
unicorn, Brad. He's a
He is.
unicorn. He's a
He
true
is.
number one receiver who's not a diva. And
He
he's
is.
saying
He
all the
is.
right things. Even if he doesn't mean them all 100%,
Nope.
he's saying all the right things, putting all the good messages out there.
Yep.
I hope Bengals receivers aren't watching. I hope
Me
they keep
too.
doing stay on
Yep.
their ways and not try to follow Coop, because Coop's saying all the right stuff, man. He's never going to be a distraction.
Listen,
He's never
he
going to make it
didn't.
about him.
He didn't get what he wanted here. I feel like he lost this negotiation. I feel like he wanted a long-term deal. This is just my
Yeah.
opinion. I feel like he wanted 2-3 years, maybe 2 years guaranteed, a third option, and a raise, and
Mhm.
a nice extension to finish his season in Cleveland. But we talked about this. AB ain't going to come off his number when they get in the lab and they file, deem what they figure out what somebody's worth on the market, what they believe. They will be fair,
Yeah.
but they are not going to overpay. And, I feel like they stuck to their guns here. And what other, now I wouldn't have minded 2 years guaranteed. I would have been fine with
No,
that.
no,
Um,
we were kind of lockstep in that.
yeah, but it feels like Browns didn't want that. It feels like they
No.
wanted just, let's get through this year and let's deal with it.
But
Um,
they also did right by him because he had no guaranteed money. They didn't have to give him a raise. They could have said, "No, you're under contract and let's play this out." But they gave him a raise, gave him the guarantees to get him here this year. And I think through that good faith, what could happen, what we could see play out is this whole season plays out and they say, "Okay, now go test the market, find out what you're worth, and then if you want, circle back and we can reconvene."
we'll
And I don't
match
think
it.
they wouldn't. They'd probably, if another team, because at that point he'll be 31. I don't know maybe he catches 26, 28 on the open market for 2 years. They might feel comfortable if that's the end, if they can get him for that price. And through that, because of the relationship they've built, maybe he feels comfortable doing that. Maybe some team outbids him, and that's the end of the story, because like you said, they're not going to come off their number. But by guaranteeing his money this year, they didn't have to do that, man. They didn't have to do what they did with Chubb. Like
No.
there's a track record of this now.
Yeah.
They didn't overextend themselves, but they didn't do the player dirty.
Right. I feel like we talked about this from the start. He had leverage, but only so much,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
It only extended so far because he was under contract for the year, right? So, if the Browns really wanted to play hardball with him, they would have said, "Sorry, can't
Yeah.
come to an agreement. Guess you got to play on that 20 million non-guaranteed," which it would be messed up, and some guys would have done that. To your point, but the Browns come with an offer that gets him a raise to more of what he's worth, comparable to other guys his age on the open market. That adds the 5 million and guarantees him the money, but they don't extend themselves into his 30s where there's a precedent for guys declining.
Yep.
Now keeps their options open. To his point, he wants to end a Brown. That's fine. But this does a number of things. And I'm actually writing about this, so keep watch for this. But this gives my boy new life. I'm telling you, this gives Elijah Moore new
Yep.
life.
Yeah. I wrote that up.
Yeah.
It gives him an avenue. As before, I almost considered him like a dead man walking here. There's
Yeah.
going to be too many mouths to feed, and he just might find himself on the outside looking in. But with this, man, if he turns in a stellar year,
Yeah.
he opens a path. There's a path to him staying in Cleveland now. So
Yeah.
every option's open.
I do think, though, so the Browns, some teams like cut off negotiations. They're like, we're not talking contracts during the season. Browns don't do that. I think that's smart.
And it's probably all it has to do with the agents.
Yeah. But like, we're going to see how this JOK thing plays out, but I think that could happen middle of the year too. I've been saying that for a long time. I think could play out like Delpit did.
Delpit's a great example.
Yeah. So, and I think that if Coop is having a year where he's trending towards another 1,200 yards,
Mhm.
and it gets to be late November, early December, you might want to revisit the table then instead
Yeah.
of waiting don't if you really want him back, then don't let him get to the free agent market.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because guys will, because we talked about it, once a wide receiver sees the free agent market, somebody will overpay for him because it's not common for them to see the market.
No, but it's the age too. Like, not too many 31-year-old receivers are breaking markets, getting top dollar. Look at DeAndre Hopkins. That is who I would point to as the closest comp. It's usually not out of this world money. If he's 28, different story. But there's that number 31 will bring that value down overall.
If he went for another 1,200 and
But
another
then it's
like
the length,
7,
really. Then it's just the length. Does he
yeah.
want? Because if it's, I still don't see. Even if he does and puts up 1,275, he put up 1,250 last year. So I still think that you're going to struggle to get more than 2 years
Mhm.
here.
But somebody might give him like
No,
30
somebody
for
might. Somebody
1.
might. Yeah, it's
But
possible.
at that point, a 1-year deal is so manageable on the
Mhm.
cap because you can do what they did with
Yeah,
this one.
little magic.
So, yeah. So I don't think I think it's very possible that Coop is back for another year next year. And it was interesting that he went out and said, like you said, he said everything right. He's a leader. He is a unicorn. And he is the number one wide receiver that isn't the diva. And quiet, leads by example, and says that, he obviously likes it here. Said he wants to end his career as a Cleveland Brown. I mean, which is music to our ears because
Oh
he's
yeah,
been the best we've had.
and it just
Um,
shows you what a long way we've come, bud.
yeah, for real.
Players couldn't wait to get the hell out of here
Yeah.
and get on with their career versus guys who are looking at this as like the home. This is home.
La Yeah. You want that, and before you had guys coming here as, "I can get one more payday out of
Yeah,
Cleveland
yeah,
before I
yeah.
get
Dwayne
out."
Bowe, Kenny
Point
Britt,
all those guys, right?
yeah.
So, I can get them to overpay me one more time. I don't have to,
I'll
and I can
mail it
get out.
in.
And now you got guys coming back to retire as a Brown,
Mhm,
like Higgins and, Hayden, right? Didn't Hayden do it too?
mhm, yeah.
To retire a Brown.
And Hayden played
Uh,
as many years in Pittsburgh as he played in Cleveland.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Still chose to retire Brown.
He was Cleveland through and through. And yeah, so very cool there. And then you guys got guys saying they want to retire as a Brown, see their career out here. So it's a testament to Barry and
Mhm,
Stefanski and the organization through and through. I mean, guys come back for training camp and they've got this immaculate new weight room. It's just well done, well well done. Good job, not overpaying, not overextending themselves, but a fair deal. Keeps their options open.
and it gets him in camp now. You're implementing a new offense. It gives Deshaun a security blanket to know he's got his number one there, and it slots everyone else appropriately as you're trying to figure out what the depth looks like. It especially if you're going to really uptick the choice routes. You need time on task. So to get him here is huge. It's a win-win, man.
Yeah. And it is, and I'm glad that there we talked about this the other night. There was like this narrative out there that like he was disgruntled or something. I don't think he was ever disgruntled. Um, I think he just this was a business thing, right?
Yeah,
Because
it was hard for him to show up to mini camps with no guaranteed money, and if he gets hurt, then it's just over, and then you could be cut just as easy with no guaranteed. So
if you're his agent, and I've said this 100 times, but if you're his agent and he's the team's number one, clear by far, they don't even have a number one in the
mhm.
waiting behind
Yep,
him.
facts.
And he has $20 million on the books, none of it guaranteed. I am not letting my client step foot on a field until he has some guaranteed money on his deal. You just can't, especially a guy that has put together a career like that. Like, he may have been forced to in the end, but you've got to play your hand out there because you risk injury and ending your career and losing out on every single dollar of that. So
Yeah.
the Browns did right by him in the end, but and like we said, the leverage only goes so far because he still was under contract. But as far as minicamp and I think he was going to hold out here if they didn't get anything done, or at least hold in. It's hard to blame him, right, with the injury situation and no guaranteed money, not a dollar, right? So, I think that get like you said it perfectly. It brings the focus back to ball, and that is ultimately a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, you get him some guaranteed money. It kills all the outside noise. You can put your blinders on. You guys are already up in the mountains right now, and just focus on building this thing, man.
Absolutely. All right, let's talk about we hit all of this stuff. You're watching All Eyes on Cleveland, by the way. That's Casey Kinnamon. I'm Brad Ward. Make sure you take a second to hit like down below and subscribe for sure. So with this Cooper deal, though, my friend, we had a wager on this one.
We did.
I have it written down somewhere over here in my pile of.
Did you know? Look, man, I've never been so happy to lose a bet.
I know, right? Seriously.
I didn't want the drama. I didn't think they'd come to an agreement this quickly, because I also didn't assume they were just going to settle it just 1 year just to get him on the field.
Me neither.
That's all that it was. Like, I think that if they would have been still fighting over another year or two, I think this is still ongoing. But they're deadline spur action, Brad, and then that's smooth, man. I love that.
Yeah,
I love that. That's tight.
New hat. A couple OBR hats came in. But so I've got. What did we have 2 bets or just 1?
No, we have 2. What was the second one?
What's the other one?
You wrote it down, Brad.
I know Brendan Rice.
Yeah, that's not with me. That's with Josh.
I know. Believe me, I've been talking trash to him in my DMs.
Damn it. I don't know. I'll have to go back and watch the other episode. Anybody in the chat remembers what I foolishly bet? Cockily. I'm sure I said it. Is definitive. He definitely wrote it down.
All I have is Brendan Rice. Here it is. Brendan Rice, not one pass, it says.
Yep. He can't even catch a ball next year.
And then, so August 20th
was mine,
yours. And mine was July 28th. He ends up
came in early, baby.
He ends up signing on.
You Price was right at it. You didn't even go over.
24th, right?
Yeah, you didn't even Price was right, that bad boy.
Yeah. So I win the bet 1 for 1. Mm-hmm. Now we just need Brendan Rice to predictably suck
shit the bet
his way out of the league by year 2. I mean, he might be on the practice squad or something, but
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, they're not going to maintain that kind of depending on him as depth up there. That's just absurd, or out there, So whatever.
Sure.
Yes. Thanks, Kate. Thanks, MC. You are the best, man. We appreciate that. Like and subscribe. Brad and Casey are the best. Appreciate that.
That's top notch. Brown nosing right there. He's trying to get that shirt, isn't he?
Yeah, he's trying to get that T-shirt, right?
Yeah, that's UMC.
So I think it's only fair. Like I think that everybody wins in this. Mm-hmm. So it's a good way to place our wagers. But your choice, brother. Do you want to choose a winner now?
No, I'm not going to do it right this second.
Okay.
All right. I'm letting the chat play out here.
Yeah, we'll tease it out.
Yeah, I'm picking a winner, and then we'll get it taken care of. We'll get someone with the shirt. I'm a man of my word. I pay up my bets.
Yeah, absolutely. I know you are. I know you are.
See, there was another bet. Doesn't
I
remember
remember
what
it
it was.
happening.
I have to rewatch the
I
episode. Drew, me too, man. I don't remember what I
I
bet.
do too. I could have
That's
sworn it
bad.
was 1 with him and 2 with
That's
you.
bad.
I don't remember what the other one was. You're right, Drew. We'll have to go. I'll have to
Oh
dive
no, I
back
remember
in.
what it was. Chargers are a playoff team. I bet that the
Is-
Chargers make the playoffs.
That is exactly what it was. It was
Yeah, here we
just
go. It's
like a
all coming
week
back to me.
ago. Wasn't AFC West last week?
Yeah. Look at us.
It was last week.
And I should remember when you're talking about Brendan Rice. I should have been like, oh yeah, that's the bet. You're all down on the Chargers, man.
I am.
You were hoping for their demise.
Well, I mean, I just don't think there'll be a playoff time this year. Next year, I think
the
they might.
AFC's tough, man. For them to make it, that means some good teams are not.
But I'll say this: my bets are correlated because, if Brendan Rice is in your rotation, you're not likely a playoff team. Feel me?
Yeah.
All right. So, all right.
And for the record, I don't feel as good about that bet tonight as I did when I made it, and nothing has changed between then and now.
So why do you not feel as good about it?
I know. It doesn't sound as good in my head as it did that night. Look, I'm just like, I can't explain why Jim Harbaugh wins the way he does.
Yeah,
that is true, Red Leader. It's true.
This is
too many trips around the sun. But Jim Harbaugh wins, man. I just figured you give him a top-notch quarterback like that. I think he makes things work quicker than we would anticipate. But the AFC is crazy deep. It's just when we look at the teams, I mean, there's like, if you look at the AFC, there's at least 10 teams vying for 7 spots, at least. Legitimate guys who have playoff aspirations, not pie in the sky. Like, that's the expectation for their franchises to make the postseason.
100%. 100%. Yeah, there's so much out there as far as, the AFC. Now, we didn't even plan this, but we can do it kind of quickly here.
Let's go.
Because we got through that first stuff pretty quickly. There's 3 other teams on the.
We're not getting through this quickly, Brad. You know us.
I'm not even going to put up I'm not even going to make the mistake. If I put that up, it's an issue. All right. So we just talk about, because then we deep dive the entire roster, right?
Yeah.
So
I still want to do it in my head.
Yeah, right. I know. Maybe I should bring it up. I don't know. So, all right. So here is the other 3 teams that the Browns will play. I have to do it this week because I'm not going to be. I'm not going to be here next week.
I'm not going to be here next week. Take that.
We timed that up perfectly.
You're coming to my state and I'm going to Florida. What the hell, man?
I know. It's so weird, right? The wife threw a last minute vacation curveball in at me, like just jammed it in there. So
that sounded graphic.
Yeah, well, it was. It felt jammed. Felt jammed down my throat. Obviously I wouldn't have chosen this week to do it, but here we are. All right, so
can we run them for you? I can run them for you.
Jaguars week 2.
Yes, sir.
Right. Okay.
Yep.
The second team, Saints week 11.
Mm-hmm.
And
the Miami Dolphins.
Miami Dolphins week 17.
Yes, sir.
Dolphins. Those are all second place teams. So this is where the second place aspect of the schedule kicks in. Jaguars were second, AFC South, Saints second, in the NFC South. It finished 9-8 actually. That division was dog shit last year.
And, the South in general. You could just say that for both
the South
of them.
it's all bad. And then the Dolphins were 11-6, but they're pretenders, not contenders in my book. So,
I wish I could say that.
What?
I said I wish I could say that.
Another
They
bet.
put together the fastest team ever assembled in
I know.
league history.
I'm not a Tua believer. I'm not.
Yeah, no,
Tua,
I think that he's their ceiling. I think he's what
yeah.
prevents them from ultimately reaching it. But I still could see them winning double-digit games.
Something. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Something is happening with my mic here.
Oh no.
It's changing colors. You see
Yeah,
that?
I hear you perfectly. I don't know if that's just a StreamYard thing. If in the chat, if anybody can't hear Brad, let us know.
You see the color change?
Yeah, what on the side there?
A little bit.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
It's doing something.
Sure is a good mic, though. It's a good mic you have.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, thank you. Irish football 1999, Jerry Judy trash. I think that you will find after this year that is a false statement. So, okay, thank you. Thank you, guys. Just clearing that up. Yeah, I think Jerry Judy's going to have a good year. I do. I really do. I think that you are all going to be pleasantly surprised with his output this year. And that I think
just the fact you have another dynamic weapon in the passing game who can create separation, get vertical. I think he won't have a ton of volume just because of all the mouths to feed, but I think he'll be crazy efficient and be a threat to score. I think there'll be several touchdowns that he catches it and breaks a tackle and just beats people to the end zone in a foot race.
Yeah, he's explosive. He's been kind of in jail out there offensively, he's had, to Irish football's point, he's had drop issues at times.
The drop issues, yeah, that I can't say that didn't happen, but I just love what he does with the ball in his hands, man. He's really good after the catch.
Irish football, Broncos fan. Wouldn't you admit, as a Broncos fan, that he's supremely talented, but just hasn't had, I guess the opportunity, or it just hasn't worked out yet. Don't you think that with his kind of the kind of route runner he is and the explosion he has as a dynamic playmaker after he catches the ball and the kind of separation he does get, which is, a proven metric, don't you think that Irish football, that a new environment and new offense might serve him well? Great route runner, but very immature, drops clutch passes.
Okay. Well, let's start with the route running. I think that's where we're going to start. He's a guy who creates separation, and he's a guy who can do some damage with the ball in his hands. So you just fit his skill set. I still think he works in the slot, but he's more of a vertical threat in the slot.
Yeah.
I think there's a place for him on this offense, and it just gives you more speed, more dynamic athletes, man. You need that.
Yeah. I think he's probably featured out of the slot more than anybody else, right? At the end of the year,
he should. I think he should be, and I think Elijah should split with Cedric on the opposite side on the outside and give you a couple different puzzle pieces.
The thing is, you want to get him free releases as much as possible, right? Like,
for someone he has good play strength in the field with the ball in his hands, but not at the line of scrimmage. I don't know why you mitigate that.
But. Yeah, I don't understand that either. But yeah, you're right. He gets jammed up. He gets pushed off his route sometimes, and but yeah, and
but I get it if you're a Broncos fan. He was a top 10 pick, right? Like
I get it too. Yeah,
like I get where you'd be coming from.
Yeah, I totally get it. Irish football 99. I would be upset too because of the draft capital spent. But you got to understand that Browns fans aren't looking.
CeeDee Lamb get picked after that. Jefferson goes after that, and you're like, oh.
Yeah, a lot of talent in that draft. And then, but you also have to understand from our perspective, we're not looking at him as that draft capital spent on him because it didn't require that to get him here for the Browns, right?
Yeah.
So it has nothing to do with draft capital to us. It's just another piece added that
we were searching for a high level too.
That looks like he has a ceiling.
If he's that, then that's everything we needed.
Yeah. Irish football, Chubb's watching squat that weight coming off. It's crazy stuff, man. It is crazy. And then to see him go on Instagram and talk about how he is frustrated.
Well, Because last year he
because
was
he's behind.
squatting 680 for 3. So of course he feels like he's behind.
Yeah,
He only squat 580 now.
yeah, and I wrote this in things I think I know. That you got to take that in context, right? Like, this is a warrior of a
Mhm.
man. So him feeling behind, what did they say when he started working out with his trainers the first time and the first videos emerged of him hopping on the 1 foot? They all said, I can't believe he's this far along. I can't
Yeah.
believe. So to everybody else, he's ahead of schedule,
Yeah.
but he's just so
When you're
determined.
used to doing superhuman things, being very good's not enough.
Yep. Yep. So, absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, you can understand the frustration too. I'm sure he wants to be out there. It's the second time he's had to rehab
Mhm.
through this, but, I caution, there was a lot of aggregators that ran with the behind line, the next day.
Yeah, yeah. I get it, dude.
I get it, clicks, all that stuff, right? But,
Yeah.
uh, let's take it into context and realize that he's not actually behind. In his mind, he feels that way because he wants to be healthy,
He's
right?
used to being Nick fucking Chubb, man.
Yeah, yeah. Uh,
All right,
so
Brad, we got to go on the Jaguars or we're never going to get it done.
oh my god, I
We
totally
got to
forgot we
do
were
it.
even doing that.
We got to do it,
I'm
man.
losing my mind tonight. All right. Jaguars, what'd they
Mhm.
finish last year? 9-8?
It was
They were a
8-9
lot
or
worse.
9-8. It was one of
9
those
and
two
8 or
things.
8 or 9.
And it was just not good
Sun,
enough. They shit the bed.
Sunshine. They lose. They lost. They changed out to some of their wide receivers. I'll bring it up.
Uh-oh.
I can't do
So
it without it.
they played chicken with Calvin Ridley and lost him to Tennessee,
Yep.
but they signed Gabe Dave and they draft Brian Thomas Jr., and they still have Evan Ingram at tight end.
Hold on, I'm getting them all right now. So I don't have to go back.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so they lost. What do you think of the drafting of Brian Thomas Jr.?
It's like putting a hat on a hat. You go get Gabe Dave to be your big body downfield guy, and then you have to double up and draft a guy who does it, who will be better than Gabe Dave eventually. But I think it was would they have still made that move had they not lost Calvin Ridley?
No.
Would they have felt better where they're out receiver and felt like they had to make that move? If I'm them, I would have gotten more protection for Trevor Lawrence. That have been my because you got to add in this. They signed him this offseason as well to be the long-term answer. And there's always this hyperbole during a draft to say this quarterback's the most heralded guy since such and such. Well, Trevor Lawrence was, man. People forget how heralded he was coming out to be the truth, to be the answer. He comes into an offense with Urban Meyer, doesn't look the part, look like it'd be hard to in that offense. In his second year, you got to think that the last 2 seasons for the Jaguars, since they got Doug Peterson. The first season with Doug Peterson, they started off terrible, finished super strong, make the playoff, make a run in the playoffs and give the Chiefs a run for their money. Come back the next season, started off super strong last year and then faded. So they've had back-to-back Jekyll and Hyde seasons. So they need to figure out who they are. I think that's what because they obviously have had the talent to have success, but they have not put a complete season together in the 2 years under Doug Peterson.
What week do we play them? 2?
Yeah, but week 2. I'm trying to be there. I can make it to Jacksonville in 5 hours, so it's
there. You go. 1 p.m. CBS week 2.
It'll be hot as hell.
Yeah, it will. Yeah, like I just don't know who they are. I don't.
They got good weapons, man. Look at their weapons, dude. You got Travis Etienne. I like him, dude.
You do?
Yeah, I think he's in the upper half of AFC backs.
Didn't Lawrence sign his deal this offseason?
Yeah, he just signed.
Yeah.
He got his bag.
Yeah, I don't know what he is yet. I'm not
But this is the market. You can't draft a guy that high and then it's the reason we didn't keep Baker is you can't you're not allowed to sign a guy to a middling contract. He has to set the record for a day. You know,
They should be good on defense.
I like their
On the
linebackers.
yeah.
Their edges are pretty slick. It's going to take me a while to catch on to Josh Hines, Allen.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you look at Trayvon Walker, Josh Allen, they
Eric
add Eric
Armstead.
Armstead.
Yes, sir.
That's pretty nice.
Yep. I
Um,
like their linebackers. They got solid
Yeah.
linebackers. Tyson Campbell's good.
Tyson Campbell he just signed a huge deal, didn't
Yeah,
he?
the ghost of
Yesterday.
Ronald Darby. I'm not sure there. That looks like that'd be kind of weak to me, but overall, not too many holes in the D.
Cisco. Yeah. Yeah.
I like their backup tight end. I like their starting tight end. I like Brenton Strange more than Luke Farrell, to be honest.
Yeah.
Not bad, man. Not bad. But who are they? They're Jekyll and Hyde. Who are they?
That's where I'm at, right? Oh, they got Devin Duvernay too.
Go back to their right tackle, though. I do want to point this out. Anton
Harrison.
When I watched his tape this year, like that kid was solid all year long, man. If it wasn't for my rose-colored glasses of DeJuan Jones, I would tell you that was the best offensive rookie tackle last year.
Who do they have? While we're here, I can't get there. I was gonna look at who their depth is at tight end, like way down here. Is that Dagura?
I don't. I've never heard of that.
We got to start looking.
I like
at
Brenton
that.
Strange. I don't know if I like Brenton Strange or if I love Penn State's strength and conditioning program, because every tight end they put out, I'm like, that guy looks like a dude. They got another one this year.
So, can they win the division?
I'm going to say no. Should they be able to compete for it? They should. But I'm not convinced that this is who they think they are. I don't think that they have their team identity.
I think we saw a flash.
For sure we did.
And then we saw
dude, I think they were like 6-2 last year at one point.
And then everybody jumped onto the bandwagon last offseason.
Yeah, and Lawrence got hurt, and then they just weren't the same. Shout out to Blake Hansen and Dearness Johnson, though.
Yeah.
They can be in depth pieces.
Yeah. All right. Keeping it moving here.
Let's go.
They should win that game week 2.
Yeah.
I mean, it shouldn't be easy. It'll be a tough one. But they should win.
It'll be a homecoming for a lot of players going back to Florida.
Yeah, that's for sure. All right. Saints week, what would we say, 11 or something like that?
Yeah, it's the week after it's your first game after the bye. Also have a chance to go to this game.
Yeah. Mickey Loomis, Dennis Allen, Clint Kubiak taking over as OC, right?
I wanted Kubiak. That was my guy.
Yeah, so I mean, what they're running on offense should be very familiar. That's for sure. Right?
Same with these guys, though. I think the ceiling is, you got David Carr at quarterback. Like, his numbers will look fine, but if you watch him in the fourth quarter of games, it doesn't feel like he's the dude.
Derek Carr.
Sorry, I didn't mean to besmirch David.
Yeah, big difference.
Who was sacrificed on the altar of athletic greatness.
Big difference there. Well, I guess maybe not so much anymore. At one point, it felt like it was a big difference. Yeah. I mean, Derek Carr was...
Dude, if you look at his numbers, you're like, oh, he's good. Then you watch him play, and you're like, it doesn't match up. How are his numbers good?
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, checks down on fourth down and shit. Like,
yeah.
But if you look at his weapons, you have to feel decent about it. You're not terrible.
It's something about the Saints. Like, Kamara is another guy who wants a deal. I think he's holding in.
Chris Olave,
is he holding in Kamara or holding out?
I don't know what his deal is, man, because he's not like
he wants a
deal. He's super well compensated. I don't get it. I
feel like he wants a deal every year.
Yeah, but linebacker, running back, the lifespan's so short. I guess.
What do you think of this defensive front?
I don't know what Jordan has left in the tank. I don't know how much he could have left in the
2011,
tank.
bro.
I like Granderson a little bit. Brzee okay. I don't know. I'm not. Chase Young being listed as a backup's interesting to me. How does that happen?
Yeah, I
Isaiah
don't know.
Foskey, I like coming out of, I don't know.
It's a great point. Christian Boyd, sleeper.
Your linebackers, you got to feel good about Demario Davis, Willie Gay, and Pete Warner, though.
Kool-Aid McKinstry and Paulson Adebo. Adebo's good.
Yeah.
Lattimore's good. They have good
Honey Badger.
corners. Yeah. They have good corners for sure. I don't know about their free safety situation. Looks a little shifty, but Willie Gay, gotta love that signing. I wanted the Browns to sign him badly. Demario Davis. Huh. Interesting. They always find a way to be in it somehow, right? Like, it just feels like.
I want to take a quick sidebar on Demario Davis.
Okay.
We only had him for a little bit, right? And he was solid.
Yeah.
But then, we got him from the Jets, and then we traded him back to the Jets for Calvin Pryor. And then Calvin Pryor did absolutely dick. And then Demario Davis has gone on to have several All Pros, several at this point. It's curious. It's curious how things work out.
It is. It is. All right, I was just reading the chat.
I didn't know what we had going on. It was getting serious.
Oh, you think I froze up? No, I was just checking it out. So what? Where did you have them winning the division?
No. In my mind, plug your ears, MC. I think the Falcons should win the division.
Ooh, hot take.
Dude, Kirk Cousins is not even just cleared by his doctors. He is cleared by team physicians. He is starting the season as the starting quarterback right now in camp. I just look at those weapons, and it's like Kirk's had some good offensive weapons around him. And he's not, in my mind, he's not a high level starter. But as far as those mid guys, he's the highest of the mid tier guys. As far
Kirk
as
got screwed over hardcore.
what are you talking about with the drafting?
Yeah.
You can't worry about that this year. This year, you got Bijan Robinson, you got Drake London, you got Kyle Pitts. I'm not going to cry a river for Kirk Cousins, who's guaranteed another $100 million. That dude's made so much money.
He has.
Never being elite. He's made elite money and been high mid the whole time.
Yeah, I agree. Great businessman. He's made a ton of money. He's played out his contracts perfectly. With the
more guaranteed money than anyone.
Anybody.
Every time he's getting guaranteed money.
Yeah. But I mean, they freaking sold him on being the next few years competing as, and then they went out and drafted his backup.
Yeah, I mean, it was a terrible move. Oh, yeah. MC heard me. MC didn't plug his ears.
Casey is blocked.
Yeah.
All right. Well. Jalen Waddle. All right, so this is late in the season.
This is the fastest track team ever assembled.
Well, until they decided to sign Odell.
I on the pup, that though.
On the pup, as predicted. He has nothing left, I don't think.
I mean, if you're telling me Odell's your fourth receiver, I don't feel like it's a whatever. If you're relying on him, seriously, dog, this team could field
their third receiver, Braxton Berrios.
I can't believe you're talking about Anthony Schwartz like that.
Who's their third receiver? Tell me. Malik Washington, maybe?
He could be. Yeah, he very well could end up in that position.
But Odell is who they think is their third.
Yeah, you're signing him. Yeah, but it's even then, if he's your third, it's not. You're not counting on him, dude. You got Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle.
It's listen. All right, I like Mike McDaniel a lot. Anthony Weaver was with the Browns, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. Their
I don't know who Frank
DC.
Smith is. Sounds made up.
Yeah. Made up OC because it doesn't matter because
Look at the speed at
McDaniel's
running
running.
back. Even their speed at running backs just dumb.
Unbelievable speed. Great, great, funny head coach, good head coach. Not buying it. I don't think.
Yeah. Here's
Here's the
and
thing.
I get it. Tua's limited, but as far as marrying your scheme to the style of player you go and get, this is like how it's done because this team runs more
Yeah,
pre-snap motion than anybody, running people east to west. So by the time you snap the ball, it's like watching Canadian football. You got Tyreek Hill already at a dead sprint when the ball's hiked. You're just creating space all over the field, east and west, and then you slip people vertical. You know, I will say this: the next time that Tua is able to hit like Waddle or Hill and Stroud will be the first time. And that's not something he does. But
no.
like, I don't know, man. Like
Um,
Jalen Wright is fast as shit.
yeah,
Devon A. Chain
unbelievable.
fast as
Like,
shit. This team is built to stretch you east to west and break things vertically. And they just everything's predicated on Tua being in rhythm and getting rid of the ball
speed.
quickly,
Yeah,
getting the ball to guys in space. And they got guys who create space. Their
yeah,
offensive line is their downfall.
yeah. That's crazy. That running back room is crazy.
It's
Adding
the
Jalen Wright
fastest.
to Shane and Mostert.
Just
Uh,
speed
yeah,
demons.
speed everywhere. I mean, they even took on Schwartz because he's fast, even though he can't catch. So I
But
mean,
if they put together a 4x1,
that just shows you how dedicated they are to speed that they
they
took
are.
on Schwartz.
Yeah.
Um,
Go to the
but
defense though. I think
yeah,
that's where you're going to find some chinks in the armor here.
yeah, I agree. The defense, I
Mhm.
wonder about, and I just listen. I think they will always be a competitive and probably a very good regular season team. Can you
Yeah.
go? Can you go win outside in December and January?
Well, that's the
And
beauty of it, as we get to bring them here
I
for a
know
night game
timed up perfectly.
at the very end of the year. Love
Yeah,
it. I
love it.
love that. That's my favorite part of the schedule is you get this team up north on the lake at night.
Yep,
It's
yep.
but I mean,
It
I
was
like Devon Holland. You signed Poyer to a 1-year deal.
that's a
Safety looks great. Jalen
it's a
Ramsey's
smart move.
dangerous. The back end of their defense, they're formidable back there. But your edge rushers are all hurt. They're all you
Yeah,
Chubb. I don't know if it was an Achilles for Chubb, but it was an Achilles for Jalen Phillips.
they
You
still
did
have
get
Agba
Calais
though.
Campbell, which the ghost of Calais Campbell's a formidable guy. Like even if
Yeah,
he's not what he was, that's still hell to deal with.
Anthony Walker, Agba.
I think they could still win the East. I'm not sold on the Jets the way everyone else is.
Yeah, man, that sucks that they have Long, Phillips,
And Bradley Chubb on pup.
Bradley Chubb, all in the pup. Those are all good players. Jordan Brooks, nice signing
They still got
with
Manuel
Walker.
Agba.
With Walker too. I mean,
Mhm.
and Long. Those are some man. It's speed on the defense too. It's
Oh yeah,
crazy,
yeah, and Chop Robinson.
right?
That's
Yeah,
once again, man. Penn State. Sometimes their tape that won't blow you away, but like the way those dudes physically test,
yeah,
it's like this should work.
yeah,
Getting a guy that big, that strong, that fast, that
yeah.
explosive. They just keep pumping those dudes out.
Uh, Neville Gilmore is an interesting signing.
From Dallas, he's one of the. They lost a
Not
ton of
Gilmore,
linemen in Dallas.
Gallimore. Yeah, um, yeah, but he's flashed last year, I think,
Mhm.
if I recall. Kendall Fuller. Yeah,
I'd feel
Gal-
much different about this game if it was in September.
yeah, for sure. Taj Washington, Barrios. Jason Sanders, good kicker. Yeah, I mean, they're gonna be good. I just don't know if they can win in the postseason. I mean, their best bet would be for 1 year to get super hot, and I don't know if I can trust Tua to do this either, right? But, like, can they get hot one year, win like 14 games, have the 1 seed, home field advantage, ride it all the way through to a dome Super Bowl is their best shot?
It's their only shot. Yeah. Getting the number 1 seed and playing all their games in Miami, then playing in a dome. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't think they can. I don't think that that's in the cards. 14 wins is rich, but could this be a 10 or 11 win team? I think it could be.
Yeah, with their
This is
new if you have Fangio left, and they brought in our guy, right?
yeah, Anthony Weaver.
Or he was with us, and then he was with Baltimore, right? They got
Yeah,
him from Baltimore
yeah.
last year
Everyone thought that he was going to take over when McDaniels left
for
Baltimore for
McDaniels,
Seattle.
but he spent time in Cleveland, correct?
I believe
I
I believe he was here under. God damn it, blanking.
What's his
I
name?
believe he was here for like a year or two.
Yeah,
Not enough that we can claim him as our guy, but
yeah. Yes, true. He was with the Browns. He was under why is his name escaping me?
I almost said Greg
Zone.
Williams.
No, the guy before Schwartz.
Wilkes was he here with Wilkes, or was
Nope.
he here with?
After Wilkes.
Did we block it out of our minds?
I think I blocked it out of my mind. What is his name? I hated him.
That's why you can't remember it.
I blocked it out. Joe Woods. Thank you.
Woods.
Thank you, Jack.
I was W. The whole thing was going through my head was W.
Yeah. Joe Woods was the worst, man. Tried to run the Seattle cover 3.
Yeah. It's basically the defensive version of choice routes.
Yeah,
Like
it's
your defensive backs have to have like different rules based on different things, and it's not like
so many
sports
rules.
is so much more like meat and potatoes, like
very, very rules based, and if you can exploit it by stressing those rules, unless you have extremely disciplined guys that have played in it for years and years and years, it doesn't really work.
By the third flagrant mental breakdown, you got to scrap that.
Yeah.
Cost you games. Games.
I mean, I did a video with a guy one time on it a couple of years ago when Joe Woods came here, because the defense is extremely interesting, especially if you look at the way the Legion of Boom did it, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what they ran. That's where Joe Woods came from, right? Then they ran it in San Francisco under Saleh, right? So, and Joe Woods was the cornerbacks coach there before he got hired by the Browns. Now, they smartly brought Sherman from Boom to
San Fran.
San Fran, and they had guys in San Francisco that could do it, and they taught it well, and they did it well, but it got exposed on the biggest play of the entire Super Bowl. They were ahead, or if you recall, at whatever that play, 2022 Wasp, whatever, with have you ever seen the clip? Do you know what I'm talking about at all?
Yeah, in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it was 3rd and 16 or whatever. Mahomes goes over to Reed. He's like, "What about Wasp? What about Wasp? 2022 Wasp?" And it plays against their rules completely because Tyreek Hill leaves. The guy leaves him. He goes across he looks like he's going across the field, because the biggest thing in that cover 3 is it's like a matchup zone, basically, in basketball, kind of. But there's real eccentric rules to it to make it work, right? Like, and as he lets the guy go, and he goes to the short part of the third, right? Which, as he's supposed to do, because he's released Tyreek Hill, and it's perfect.
Yeah.
he goes over. As soon as the safety turns his hips, and it only they could have done it because on this play because it wasn't terribly played, but he turns back into that open. You make it look like you're going across, running to the post, right, or to the pylon,
Yeah.
and he hooks back into that
Build
vacant
back.
area,
Yep.
but it takes forever for that to create, and Mahomes just kind of waited, if you recall that play, and he just throws it up, and literally Hill's like standing there, like so wide open. He catches it. Biggest
Like
play
a
of the
punt.
game. They go on to win the Super Bowl. And I remember watching film the next year because the Browns were running it, and the Ravens ran the same concept against the Browns, and it worked on a big play to Hollywood Brown. And I'm like, oh, there's Wasp again. But yeah, I was very interested in that defense just because of the Legion of Boom. But ultimately, at this point, teams that are running it are having a hard time
Yeah.
because
It's too easy to have breakdowns.
there's too many beaters out there. Like
Yeah.
if you can
That's the
flood
thing, though. You chase
you
in the NFL.
flood areas of the field. You know what I mean?
It's such a copycat league. You're chasing, and if you chase it too late, there's already rules in place for that's whatever the scheme is.
Yeah,
That's the reason man playing sticky man coverage is like
yeah,
if that's your base, you're the best off. You
yeah,
have to have variances off that, but if you can do that, that's what we're dealing with right now.
yeah. Exactly. I mean, it's just yeah, it's absolutely. What's this here? Grandpa drank beers with Zonka's dad at a bar in Stowe, two Hungarian immigrants. So Larry Zonka, so my dad, this is crazy. I don't know if I've already told anybody this is, but so my dad's a football coach, right? When he went to Mount Union, um, played there, and then um became friends with do you know the legendary coach's name from Mount?
When did he coach?
Why can't I think of his
I was
name?
recruited there, and they didn't lie to me. They straight up told me you won't step on the field before your junior year,
Oh, they
and
play. They have so
and
many.
it
They
broke my
bring some.
heart.
Yeah.
Campus was beautiful though.
Why is
Everything
his
was
name
brick.
escaping me? Anyways, it doesn't matter. He's a legendary. He won all the national titles there. His sons took over now, but anyways, he yeah, there he is. Thank you, Fumble Karras, Larry Karras. And so my dad became a graduate assistant at Kent State in like 1970 something. So at the same time, the on it's wild, dude. On the same coaching staff of this Kent State team was well, first of all, Nick Saban was the other graduate assistant. Dom Capers on the
Okay.
staff. And then there's another one too. Anyways, but it's wild. My dad tells stories about Saban and his wife at the time. My dad was single. He was a young kid in college. Saban got hired full time onto the staff after he was a graduate assistant, but having him over to his house for dinner and stuff like that, like back then,
That is
crazy,
crazy,
right?
man. That is
Yeah.
crazy.
Don
One of the
Capers,
goats.
Saban, there's a bunch of people on the staff. Anyways, but yeah, pretty wild. Why did I get on this topic? Oh,
Zonka.
because of Zonka. So my dad's from Lisbon, Ohio. Larry Zonka owns a gas station there. Always drove past it when he was there as a kid. I think he's from around that area. Anyways, I guess when I was like a little kid, I was like a baby or something, and I was Larry Zonka. I was introduced to Larry Zonka when I was a little kid. I don't remember. My dad tells me the story, and it was
That's
like in
wild,
a
man.
locker room
Yeah.
in somewhere. but down there because he's a good old boy down there. So, anyways, interesting that you mentioned that. Yeah, Ohio football, crazy stuff. But yeah, Dad still talks to Larry Karras to this day. So,
I wonder if that's the dude who crushed my dreams.
he might have been.
They didn't sugarcoat it, man.
Yeah.
We'd love to have you, but you ain't gonna play.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want to hear that when you're 17, man. Like,
no.
For real?
Not at all. Not at all. But yeah, so it's funny. Yeah, he has some Saban stories. He has some Caper stories. There's like 2 or 3 other guys that became coaches, like famous coaches in the league, or at college and in the league, and that he's told me stories about. But pretty wild that he just ended up randomly on that staff at Kent State.
Yeah, Capers. I think he was the original coach of the Panthers.
Yeah, and a DC for a long time in the league
for Green Bay.
Yeah, a long time. Yeah, so
Capers was there for a while too.
Capers. So very interesting.
That is crazy, man.
Yeah. So they, obviously went on. I think I'm trying to remember this whole story correctly, but at one point he had an opportunity to go. I think it was like the DB coaching job at like Washington or something like that, but he stayed because to marry my mom. So interesting choices. But yeah,
well, you're here because of it, brother.
I am here because of it. No doubt about it. Great choice. Yeah, but very interesting stuff. He has some good stories from Coach Football, and then now it's he's talk about what's his name. I can't think today. I'm so tired from work. From San Francisco, the fullback.
Juszczyk.
Yeah. So yeah, he wears the shoes with my dad's name on them and stuff. It's pretty crazy for his.
For the My Cleats, My Cause.
Yeah, My Cleats, My Cause, because he has Crohn's disease. So yeah, and
going to tie it into we did the Saints, and now they have Clint Kubiak. Do you think that there's a chance that they try to make Taysom Hill their Kyle Juszczyk?
Maybe.
That skill set.
They're going to use him, that's for sure. They're going to use him.
His experience with Juszczyk, I think, could pay dividends with someone like Taysom Hill, who every coach has struggled to figure out. The level of athletes there, they just have struggled to carve out a permanent role. So,
no doubt about it.
Bringing it back together.
No doubt about it. All right. So, what was I going to say? I think that's it for tonight. What a wild first day, huh?
Yeah, man. I'll say this before we get off here, though, man. If you're out there and you don't have Fred Greetham, you follow him, turn your notifications on. If you're wanting to get the most out of this Greenbrier experience, that's the man.
He is.
Fred Greetham 9 at Fred Greetham 9 on Twitter.
Yeah, he's locked in. He's got it locked in. So before we go, though, you have a decision to make, my friend.
Oh, I do.
Loser of bet numero uno. It came a lot faster than I thought.
Yeah, me too, man. I thought I was going to get a little more play out of it. So here's my thing. I have the YouTube here on my phone. All the names are in the chat. I'm going to scroll blindly and stop it. Wherever my thumb lands, you're getting a shirt.
I love it.
Tell me when to go.
Away. Go.
Drew in Brick City. Drew in Brick City. You get a shirt, buddy.
Winner, chicken dinner. Drew in Brick City. You get a t-shirt. Now, just so you keep it locked here. There are other bets in play.
Yes, there
are other bets in play.
And there's going to be more coming in. And we're not going to wait till the end of the season for the Chargers playoff to be the next bet.
No. Listen, I'm a complete degenerate. I can't stop betting. I mean, I've got action right now going on the smallest slate in 3 weeks in the MLB. I'm a degenerate. So, so Drew, do me a favor. And I think, just drop in my DM or Casey's. Are your DMs open?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just throw your address and shirt size in there, and we'll handle that. Get that handled.
But Drew, I need you to post when you get it so people know that this is real.
Yeah.
It's not some phantom thing.
Well, I just got a shirt for Dustin from the giveaway I had a while back, and he posted it. Did you see it? He posted it on Twitter. Anyway, it was a couple weeks ago.
Don't think I saw it.
Okay.
But I can't remember who the defensive coordinator was 2 years ago right now, so I'm probably not the best person to ask.
Teddy, I love how you pop in and just give mad props, man. I appreciate you listening and watching. I appreciate you all. You guys are the best. I kiss ass after the prize is gone. Gotta love that, man. Good.
Should I tell Charlie his was the next comment down when I stopped on my thumb?
So
close, Charlie.
Too late. Next time. So you guys all are the best. You guys are the best chat in all the land, though. Very knowledgeable football, great insight all the time. It makes this show so much more fun to do interactively because we appreciate, the ability to participate with you guys and get your comments and thoughts makes it so much better. So hit that like button, hit subscribe. If you watched on Twitter, take a second and hop on over to youtube.com/Orange and Brown Report. And it helps us out a lot. Just take a second to hit that like button and subscribe and the notification bell so you know every time we go live, because we're going to be jam-packed with all kinds of new shows and stuff coming up here as we're into it now, baby.
We're in the rapids, man.
We are in and locked in, baby. Yeah, let's do it. So, any parting words here, Casey?
No whammy, no injuries, man. We got hit with more injury news today than I wanted going into it. So let's get out of it with that being it.
Does it feel like the injury bug from last year never ended? That's what it felt like to me today.
Oh God! Now that you say it, I wasn't feeling like I was just so happy to have football back, Brad. I was, but like I can't lie that it was hearing that Tallman was getting a scope and to hear the Newsom shit was true. It took a little wind out of the sails, but football's back, man.
Yeah.
Anytime I think of that, I just think of Vrabel racing Jameis, and I'm right back. Back to football. We're here.
Just Vrabel.
DeJuan breaking the huddle down. He needs to do that at midfield, facing the other team in warm-ups.
Yeah.
We've been on too long when my TV shuts off. That was it.
There it is. That's the buzzer. So appreciate everybody participating. Yeah, excited. I mean, the injury news, it's manageable, right? Like it's nothing monster. It should be manageable. The big, Dalvin getting back seems more realistic. So
he wasn't going to play much in the preseason anyway.
No.
But you're implementing new things. You want to see, what you can do. And here's the thing too, is you want to be at full strength when you have the joint practices.
Yeah.
Because that's when you really find out things. What worked, what doesn't work. So
3 weeks. All right. Great job, Casey. As always, follow Casey on X at Casey_Kinnamon. Keep it locked to the OBR for all Casey's writing. Make sure you read his stuff this week. It's fantastic. Doing a great job already, banging out some good stuff and good content over at the OBR. Everybody, as you already said, at Fred Greetham 9, 2-minute. He'll have a 2-minute breakdown from the Greenbrier every day, and it tells you everything you need to know. Plus, he has 2 articles out already tonight from everything that happened today. If you want to get caught up on everything, pop in there, read that stuff. You're good on all that. And then, keep it locked to all of our shows. I'll have an article out about, my angle on this Elijah Moore thing here and the Cooper contract. And then another things I think I know before I leave for vacation. So keep it locked for that. If you enjoy that stuff, 420 followers. Imagine that.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know what you're talking about either. I don't even know why I said that. All right, let's get out of here. Thanks for watching, and appreciate you all. No more injuries. I agree, Teddy. No more injury. No whammy, as Casey would say. For everybody at the OBR, for Fred Greetham especially out there, Greenbrier, nose to the grindstone, boots on the ground, the legend.
Doing the Lord's work.
Yes, absolutely. And everybody at the OBR. For Casey Kinnamon, I am Brad Ward. This has been Training Camp Edition 2024 of All Eyes on Cleveland. Football's back, baby.